You are listening to a Pod Bros exclusive.
All right, boys and girls, we're back live, brand new episode, Take Aim Outdoors, and welcome to another season report. And we are back with Tim Clark from Reddog Outfitters. Super excited to have Tim back on because, man, Tim, you guys are slamming deer. What's happening?
Yeah, it's been exciting, man. It's been a really fun couple of weeks, and a little better than I'd hoped it would be, actually.
Absolutely. I mean, from the looks of it, you've done really well, and I'm sure that is always a goal, and you wish you could do that every year, I'm sure. But give me the rundown on a couple of these deer, where they were from, Kansas, Nebraska, and what happened.
Well, I hate to sound like I don't know where to start, but I really don't know where to start. November 6th, we were kind of having a hard time like everybody was. It was really hot. No one was really seeing deer, shooting deer anywhere, and I decided to come out and put out a little bit of a, I don't know if it was arrogant or confident, whatever you want to call it, depends on what side of the fence you are on, if you read it, but saying we were going to kill 30 deer in 30 days, and just trying to get things kickstarted. So I put that number out there on Instagram and said, all right, well, we'll see what happens, and it ended up taking us 11 days to kill 30 deer, not 30. After that statement, it just rolled, and in one day, I think it was 1 day, 24-hour period, we had killed 7 deer in just a day. So, I mean, some of it was Nebraska, some Kansas. In that period, Rifle Nebraska had started and stopped. So, yes, there were a few kills up there. And, it wasn't a perfect run. 30 wasn't 100%. We had some guys got skunked. We had some guys that killed their first hour, and we killed some amazing animals, too, and some small ones. So, I'm not going to sit here and act like we got the best bucks and we went 100% and everything's perfect at Reddog, because it's not perfect anywhere. But, I think we did a pretty dang good job. And now we still have some hunters on the ground, and, we've found some surprises in the last couple of days from some old hunters we've had out, doing some pretty unethical things. But other than that, just regular season, man. Now we're getting ready for rifle and muzzleloader. In Nebraska and Kansas start up here next week, and starting to chill out and get ready for some turkey. So hope things are going good over there for you guys.
Sadly, Michigan's gun season starts, I think, the same day as Nebraska, which is November 15th here.
Oh, okay.
And I believe that's what Nebraska used to be. I don't know if it still is, but we just, it's killer. Everything changes. The deer go so underground. You don't see anything. You actually probably put more pressure, more harm on any farm you have by even hunting after the second morning. So it's one of those things where you kind of got to bide your time till you get to, at least after Thanksgiving. Then it slows down a little bit, and then I don't know why second day of December we have basically another gun season. We have muzzleloader starts, which everybody here in the state uses muzzleloaders or shotguns. So it's so high pressured, man. It's I can't even describe it to people that the deer are just so pressured. It's unlike any state you've ever seen. So without doubt, the season's going to be really hard for me, and I'm just going to have to really focus on that late season and hopefully come up with some area where the deer are going to feed, and possibly have success, if I can find a food source. But that's about it, man. So I'd rather talk about you because it's way more exciting than Michigan. So
all right, fair enough. Well, this season, we had one of our better seasons for bigger racks. We didn't kill our biggest racks this year, but we did have a tremendous amount of good, better bucks coming out of Nebraska this year. We got one wide one that I was joking around with. I'm not sure if you could talk about licensing stuff, but I didn't find the buck. Trey, my partner, found a buck up there, real nice wide one. We named Eddie Alvarez the day before the UFC Conor McGregor fight. And the only reason I named him Eddie is just because I thought he was going to go down on Saturday as hard as Eddie Alvarez was. I'm a Conor McGregor fan, and I was just kind of joking around since opening day was Saturday, and there's this Eddie buck running around. Well, I was almost right. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the fight or not, but that worked out on that side. And then
well, let me give you a little story, Tim, real quick. I hunted as you know, we talked previously. I think that day I was headed down to southern Indiana. We talked, I think, a week ago on Tuesday or something. Yep. And went down there. Long story short, I had pretty much put in daylight to dark sits, and my hunting partner was like, hey, Dennis invited us over to watch UFC. I'm like, man, I'm so tired. I don't even know. And Sunday morning's my last morning. I got to head back home.
Right.
And, you got to factor in a 4-hour drive, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. I'm like, all right, can't miss this, though. It's UFC New York. It's first time there. It's Eddie Alvarez and Connor, as you just mentioned, 2 other title bouts. Phenomenal cards.
Right.
Long story short, and I know my time, it ended at 1:45. It'd be 12:45 your time. Didn't get back to the cabin at till 2. I'm sorry. And then, man, let me tell you how fast that alarm hits at 5 a.m. It was brutal.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So, but yeah,
it's horrible.
Got to see the fights, and lucky for me, I pulled myself out of that bed and went to the woods because I shot, a very good deer at 10:38 a.m. that morning. So. So I told that story because I was like, there's no way I'm going to make it up in the morning, and my deer at the UFC, that's all connected, which is really funny.
That's cool. Yeah. Same with this one, man. We ended up taking Eddie on Monday, so we were off by a day. Technically, he got shot or got knocked down on, I guess it was Sunday morning on the UFC fight, but the next day we shot that Eddie Alvarez buck, and I don't know how big he is. He's nice though, nice wide, real good looking buck, and I had the same UFC experience with you, man. I was up late, and I don't remember how many hunters we have up here for rifle, but opening day just wasn't itself this year. Usually we have a quarter to, maybe even close to half of our guys done by opening morning. If maybe I'm glorifying past seasons, it just seems that way. This year we only had 2 done opening days, so we had a full boat, man. I hit the bed too, man, and that alarm clock went off, and I had a 40-minute drive from where I was staying to the main ranch, and oh my God, talk about zombie land. But we got it done. We ended up taking, and I don't remember how many deer off that property, but we did have a couple guys get skunked, which we hate to have happen. Last year we were 100% on that farm. We had 12 people shoot, kill, and then the 13th on the opening people had wounded a deer, so we'd win 100% the first round about. And this year I haven't calculated it, but kill rate was around probably 70%. So I guess if 70% is a bad year, I'll take it, but I still want to be transparent, because people see our Instagram and they're like, oh my God, all I got to do is show up, I'm going to kill a deer. It's not the case. People hunted their butts off, some hunted all day. The heat was definitely a factor, and we had a lot of success, and what I try to shop around and make sure I'm doing it at least as good as the other guys are. From what I see, we did, we had a pretty tremendous amount of success across the board in the industry, which makes me happy, because I don't want to sell something that isn't the best, in my opinion. So far so good on this season. We still have some hunts left, but we're kind of winding down now, so trying to get into expo season and get into the holidays and chill out a little bit, because it's been a grind, man. I'm wore out.
I wanted to ask you, Tim, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how, especially right now because the rut is tailing down and we're more or less you could say it's 85% over, let's say, or 90%, but what would you score the 2016 rut period on a scale of 1 to 10?
Man, and I'm not prepared for this question. You didn't give me a Clinton on this. No time to think about it. I would say the rut activity. You mean what was handed down from God himself, and the weather and the way the deer reacted? You want to grade on that?
Just overall, okay. Because we all had the issues. It seemed to be a very warm November for majority of us. So I'm just curious. We always want a 35-degree morning, but we don't always get it. So
exactly. Yeah, considering that, I'd probably give this year's rut probably a 5. Man, it was pretty bad. There's just no way to candy coat it. I think this is just a personal theory, and you know what? I know, and I said it on the last show, guys are going to be laughing at me, because some guys do, because we get success, and I see some things a lot of old timers don't believe in, but I think some people might laugh at this, but when it's that hot, those deer are still going to go into heat. I don't care what people say. We breed dogs, so they go into heat when they go into heat. Doesn't matter what you're doing and what the weather's doing. They just do it. And I think if those does were in heat, which I believe they were when it was 80 degrees out, they're not getting chased at night. They're just standing there. I don't think they can run through the woods at night quite like they can do it in the day. And, they're going into lockdown prematurely. In my opinion, I saw deer in lockdown way earlier than you'd think you would. Talking second and third of November, we don't see deer in lockdown until much later than that here usually. And we'd see them laying in a pasture. I mean, by a highway, that middle of in front of God and everybody. And even the doe wasn't moving. I mean, they were locked down big time. And I think that really hurt us at that combination with the moon. Kind of turned the rut off. A lot of these bucks went into lockdown and out of it and done. It just didn't ever have that feel where you could go out and, even to pretend you're going to hit tickle some horns and see bucks running. It just never had that feel to me this year. But it's still kind of going on here and there. I went out hunting last night and we had actually a herd of whitetail come out of the woods. There's 9 of them came out, which really surprised me. But then I heard one come out, a little 6-point came out, dogging a doe. And clearly the big guy's laying down with somebody else and just doesn't care, letting him have his way. So while we're seeing the tail end, they're definitely starting to, they're still rutting in that farm at least a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe in I hate the dang term the second rut or secondary rut. It's bucks that are looking for their second or third does. It's not a new rut. It is a continuation, and it's just that buck has moved on and looking to, find another girlfriend, another 2 girlfriends. And it's just a cycle within that rut, But I agree with you with the weather 100%. And, I hate to say it in this manner, but if anything, we're going to have a very healthy deer population, I think, from here to you for 2017, because the weather conditions and the moon was brutal, and I think a lot of the weekend warriors kind of got hit hard with that.
Yeah, they did. It was brutal. If you only had a couple of days to hunt, it was really tough. I only had a minute to hunt myself and ended up getting a nice buck, but it was hand to God. It was, I swear, God was like, all right, now you're busy. So, why don't you just go walk up the straw and I'm going to just give you one. And that's what it felt like, man. I mean, I had no skill. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I did this and that. And look how cool I am. No, man. I walked up a hill in Crocs. I wasn't even planning on shooting a deer. I was just taking a walk out of duty. Then, I just happened to have a buck come running in with his mouth hanging open, ran right to me. I mean, 30 yards within a minute. I'm not even kidding on any of it. But I'll put him on my wall. I mean, I hunted up to that day, so I guess I was due for a gimme. But wow, I mean, that'll never happen again. But right place, right time. It cooled down a little tiny bit, and the deer got active as hell. So I mean, you were there to take advantage of those little pockets of good weather, man. You really could have put together some good hunts.
Yeah, man. I'll never complain about a gimme because they are far and few between. So either way, if you put in time, you earned it. So, kudos, man. That was a great deer. I was super excited for you. But I know, sadly, I got a meeting in about 11 minutes, Tim, so I know we got 1 or 2 things we want to cover. But I know I saw Blake shot a really nice mule deer, so I want to congratulate him. And,
he got a great one last night.
Kansas, was it?
Yeah, he drew the Kansas mule deer stamp, and he ended up drawing that tag this year, so he kind of changed kind of what he was looking for. He wanted to get a little bit better of a whitetail or get a mule deer since he had that option. And I don't blame him because that tag is hard to get. But yeah, last night he closed the deal on a spot and stock deal on one of our ranches in Northwest Kansas and got a real beauty, man. I didn't get a chance to see him the day before they left, unfortunately, but he took some great pictures. He always does, of his animals. So I'm sure some people have seen it and you have, but yeah, sounded like he had a great hunt, and I'm glad he was successful. I'm really glad he was successful. So
yeah, me too, for sure. And I knew about that tag. I know it's pretty special, and kudos to him, man. That's awesome. And I know, unfortunately, Timmy, bad stuff happens as well, being in your business. And I know, sadly, you had just something unethical happen to you, and just kind of it leaves such a bitter taste in your mouth. But if you want to elaborate real quick, before we get off here, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I will. And I think I'm going to withhold the guy's name for now because I'm probably going to let it fly on Friday night. So everybody, when it happens, everybody's going to hear about it. Because this guy I took hunting in 2013 on the same property I found him on. 2013, the property was ours to hunt. Nobody else was bow hunting it, but it was a real delicate property. They wouldn't lease the property. They said, hey, No one's bow hunting it. You can have it. Go ahead, but I'm not signing anything. One of those deals. So, okay, well, that's the way that it is, and it's the way that it is. Sometimes out here in the Midwest, that's the way you do business, right? So I didn't have the thing leased. So let me just start by saying what he did was not illegal unless he trespassed and lied to me, which wouldn't surprise me because the guy's a chronic freaking liar from what I've seen, in my opinion. But this is an industry name, somebody who manufactures, I won't even say what kind of things he manufactures because that'll narrow him down. But the guy, I caught him on the property that I was hunting, trying to kill a buck I named Relapse. I've hunted for a couple of years. I've also noticed this guy on my Instagram page, following my posts and accidentally liking some posts sometimes. He knows that I know who he is. The other things he's done, I can't repeat because I can't prove. But I can tell you this. Last night I got online and I looked up his name and just to see if they had success. And there he is sitting with my buck Relapse. And I just about wanted to puke. I mean, I felt like I felt like someone died, like my dog got hit by a car because I love that deer. And I followed that deer, in the summertime just to see him grow, just to see him. It wasn't about even killing the deer. I don't even know. I probably would have shot him if I had the chance. I'm not going to lie and sit here and say, oh, no, I wouldn't have, blah, 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 and be a sore loser, nothing like that. But I wouldn't have been surprised if I saw that buck walk out, if I would have just let him go. I mean, he had a lot of meaning to me. And seeing this guy sitting there smiling over it and talking about some big story like he hunted real hard, and, it's just good things happen to good people, and I went out and found this place, and I moved my stand and blah, blah, blah. Buddy, you stabbed me in the back, went out, took one of my properties, and then rode my coattails into a 190-inch deer. Now he's acting like he's some sort of a super whitetail pro. Makes you want to frickin' vomit. And this guy has the gall to look me in the eye and start throwing accusations at me when his group went 4 for 4 when they were here. Of course, it had nothing to do with me. It was all about them moving the stands, and it was just as low as you can get, man. I felt like I was hunting with Hillary Clinton. It was ridiculous, and I'm gonna out this guy because the facts that I have, I'll just lay out there and let the people decide what they think. The court of public opinion, I'm pretty sure 99.9% are gonna side with me because you don't go somewhere someone showed you and take their property, and that's exactly what he ended up doing. He got his foot in the door, and then I just found out that where I thought I had other hunters that were longtime hunters, he was renting one of the cabins from one of my sources where I put my hunters during the rut. Now my other hunters had places to stay, thank God, but dual threat. The guy has no conscience. It's almost what's the word I'm looking for? I don't remember the word I'm trying to find, but yeah, sociopathic, for lack of a better term. And I don't think maybe he's sociopathic, but he certainly has no ethics. And the reason I'm going to out this guy is because the next time this guy calls you to go hunting in your neighborhood, you better think twice because I guarantee you he's using you just to get a spot to go hunt. And that's all it is. And I wish I could just say his name right now, but I haven't decided yet. Just 100%.
There's definitely something to be said about guys that have zero boundaries. And as we know, Tim, there's a lot of great guys in this industry, great ladies. Man, it just irks me so bad because the ones we remember the most are guys like this, the ones that just leave such a horrible, bitter taste in their mouths. But, I just figured we'd talk about it for a second just because it's just crap we have to deal with that's just uncalled for. And I'm just a firm believer in, especially when it comes to hunting, man, just don't mess with somebody else's boundaries or in that invisible line in the sand. That just irks the crap out of me.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I'm not the first and the only one who's ever done it too. I guarantee you that. And, when I was really not being very nice to him the other day in the yard, maybe someone might say verbally assaulting this guy because everything he'd say to me was an insult, and I just shut him down because I remember the hunt vividly. I mean, very vividly. And, I was screaming and yelling at this guy, and I shouldn't say that, but, because he kept coming back with these smart-ass comments, and, I don't deal with that well, man, especially when it's just to make himself look good in front of his buddies. You know what I mean? But I actually forgot where I was going with that. I had a statement I was going to make about something with the guy, but, it's just that kind of activity and that kind of, I'll do anything for a buck kind of thing just so I can look cool, And that's what it came down to, just so he could make himself look like he's this big bow hunter. And I look at every other animal he's ever shot, and I just scoff at it like, yeah, you probably stole that from somebody else too. You probably ripped somebody else off just to get yourself ahead. And, looking at his company, to me, it hasn't done much. And maybe it has, but, and I wish him all the best. I don't wish anybody any ill harm financially. But this is the kind of guy, if he doesn't get ahead, it's because he steps on people's toes. And there's people like that are personality flaws, and, they're not going to change. So the most I can get exposed to help other people in the industry, the better I can do. I just got to be careful how I do it, because
you're right. And hopefully hopefully for you do it right, so there's not any kind of backlash. And from there, he's going to weed himself out, and the industry does a great job of that. As soon as it kind of catches wind, people have eyes on him constantly. So it's basically a public service announcement, if you would say, Tim. So kudos for having the strength just to stand up for what's right, man. And I appreciate that. And we need more good guys to do the right stuff, for sure. But hopefully, Tim, do you got a few more guys left? I got about a minute left here to talk, so I'm just curious if you got any more guys next week.
Yeah, we do. We start rifle next week here in Kansas. We've got just 4, and then we've got Nebraska starting up muzzleloader hunting, and we've got several hunters, not a lot, but we've got a few hunters coming in starting up muzzleloader season, which runs the entire month of December. Aside from that, that first week and a half, we'll have some action, but then we're going to be shutting down for the season and moving on. So that deer that I promised to show you guys, that arson buck, unless he gets shot, I don't think I'm going to post him now, just because of what happened with relapse. Just sickened by it. But I understand posting deer like that's dangerous, but I'm in a position where I kind of have to market my company. I guess maybe just don't market the freak shows that are rare anyway. Just kind of fun to show them off. It's sad that you shouldn't or can't anymore, but you may or may not see that. But if you follow Instagram Friday night, you're probably going to see a fireworks show about somebody that you may or may not know in the industry. And I'm sure you'll hear some bad things about me. Some might be true, some might not be. But I hope to have another show with you guys coming up to finish up how the rifle went and running activity, because we're still seeing quite a bit here too. So anytime you want to do that, I'd be honored to be on.
Yeah, man, let's do it next week. Well, we'll be in touch, Tim, but we'll definitely get another show done. And guys and girls, as you know, man, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. It's such a huge help. It's the biggest help to get the show out to others. And you can find us every Tuesday, podbros.com, Outdoor Podcast channel. And Tim, thanks again. We'll see you next week.
Hey, thank you. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving.